Q-3 Emerging Realities of Dreaming, Daydreaming, and Ascension. So there are biological constraints, genetic inhibitions, and also since the two realities are not merged fully, there is a disparity between the two realities. As such, the higher dimensions are more vital and also require more processing power. And as a result, the human brain is significantly more faster than it appears to be. And it's because it's dedicating more power to the spiritual realm, which requires a tremendous amount more power because you're manipulating reality, which is altering the compositions and the configurations of matter at the atomic level. And you can only do that by tapping into the powers of the fifth dimension into the fourth. And also astral travel needs a tremendous power source to keep it going. Our processing abilities are limited for several reasons. The first is mechanistic. This type of processor has to do with analytical parts of the brain. Think of the triple processor that the Xbox uses. One processor keeps track of all the scoring calculations, such as the score, your points, your plus minus, etc. Now another processor keeps track of all the types of movements, and the final processor has to do with the graphics. Altogether, that's three processors. Now, mechanistically, this also is also how the brain functions. However, there have been many safety features. These topics are covered in 21, 20, 31, and 30. And you need, and why we had to wait to turn off the God gene and wait until 2012. And there's reasons for all of this, very complex reasons. So please check these topics out. And in general, what it says is that we need all 8 intelligences to use the processor, or the brain, which is the processor, properly. If you don't use the processor properly, then this would explode your brain. Processing constraints. There are two important reasons why, as humans, in 2010, we cannot possibly operate via multidimensionally. One is the processing speed and power. Think of it as an incredibly sophisticated superconductor or supercomputer. This is actually your brain. True and also true is that the modern day computer is a poor model of, yes, your brain, and not the alien ships that were found in the early 1900s. And not in Roswell, as those ships was perhaps second or third generation prototypes. Everything in our human brains have been wired to survive, and later earn money, a survival feature, as our brain is a vast neural network of memories and emotions. Our brains are designed to store, retrieve, and compare, and then make decisions, but to honor our survival. But to the horror of our survival, wiring convinces us to react instinctually, and a program feature that we have difficulty to override. Like killing spiders that are harmful to the home. Therefore, you have many uncharacteristic and totally insane behaviors that are really the demise of chemical enslavement. Once it is in, it is like putting nitro into your gas tank. Once it is in, it's too late. The same idea. Please, as there are tons of literature on why program behavior is very difficult to overcome in the moment. And we do the many, not stupid but strange things unlogically. Unlogical things. We do many not stupid, but strange and unlogical things that we do for these different reasons. But what it is basically it breaks down is an issue of processing speed and power. Once again, supercomputers, if there is not enough power to operate, it will minimize and only operate at capacity. It is the same for the brain, but for this may cause temporary overload like fainting, usually emotional overload from result. This is only an example of an emotional issue. There are 7 more different processors in your brain, and they also can overload. Read 7. Therefore, minimizing operating speeds is optimal, as operating in multiple dimensions is very sophisticated. I will give you an example, like driving your car, talking to someone on the phone on conference, but with 10 different speakers for each person, directing traffic with hand signals, watching a movie, using a navigational system, and traveling astrally, all at the same time. Lastly, all of these functions have augmented 6 senses. Prime to possibly 3 with the addition of the third eye, a type of interdimensional antennae that allows you to view coherent, intelligent, and meaningful slides of the future. So just recently have humans passed laws that we cannot watch TV or use cell phones while driving at the same time. So when we dream, we only take in return what we need to survive in our world. But once again, the issues of an inferior processor makes us forget. And we also store away other information. Storing information also takes up processing speed and power, exactly like spyware. So if we are a society always depressed, in fact 52 to 53% of the world suffer from some kind of depression, then what other types of information is stored? Then you have the issue of information being stored away. Now, if survival information is supposed to be happy, then why does it not give us joy? It's because all the joy experiences are stored away, because therefore we are all depressed. And when we do remember, everything is all condensed and primitive in nature. Because it is not impossible to describe everything that has happened. Into a logical, smooth film. We must settle for one moment at a time in a dream encased in a memory lasting only a few seconds, called psychic memory slides. Let me try to interpret a dream or a memory slide for you. But remember, everyone stores memory and decodes messages differently. Well, there is no traffic, so my first message or image to myself is Ferrari with tires on fire. So Ferrari means fast. Then in the distance I see an image of someone waving around a cell phone, and then they smash it on the floor, and after I see a dead person pointing left and an angel pointing right, then a trigger happens, a mental trigger. Like a stimulus that activates your third eye, or recalls memories that triggers in synchronicity to the event. So it's like a hint, a cue. I remember all of these flashes, but I decide to go forward or left towards the dead person, and then suddenly a karma kicks in, and a past good deed sends me an image of the angel again pointing to the right, and I veer right and blow my tires. But if I had listened to the first message correctly, then I would have not got my tires blown from making the sharp right. And this is our future. If you do good deeds in life, good karma will always try and protect you. Kali Ma, or many Buddhas having several hands and heads, actually meant multiple dimensions and different spirits inhabiting the one body, or several bodies simultaneously. This is communion, the power of the Spirit, or the Holy Spirit, or Allah. Meaning, since the beginning of time, we had these abilities, but lost them to vanity and ignorance. Shamans could actually decipher these dreams, which were not really dreams, but actually memories of the future, stored in images for you in the past, which is, or to you in dreams for your present. But since your brain is wired to survive, only survival messages are stored. Furthermore, since our current brain is in survival mode only, its processing is basic and primitive in comparison to your actual processing speed and power. Therefore, the physical brain only has the ability to store very short images with messages embedded from your future self, as future instructions of past occurrences as yet to pass, that are about to happen at temporal specific moments. And one of the best seers ever in history, dream interpreters ever in history, was Joseph Yusuf.